Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today I want to talk about poverty, growing up in poverty, and how that has compelled me and how that motivates me and how I wouldn't have had it any other way. So let's get to it. All right, so a little bit of background on me. When I grew up, I was incredibly poor. I didn't have a stable family. It was a very dysfunctional family household. And I was working ever since, as soon as I was old enough to hold a job, whether that was delivering newspapers, holding a frickin' sign on a sidewalk, shoveling snow, just a barrage of things. Before I was 18, I probably had 20 different jobs, not just, one odd job. I'm talking about actual jobs, gas stations, cashier, working in fast food restaurants, you name it. I had to work, and I had to buy my own groceries when I was a kid. I was that poor. I had to steal food. I wasn't provided for as a child. I was neglected, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I embrace the experiences that I had. I literally had nothing to eat. So I know what it's like to have absolutely nothing, and I'm sure that some of you out there know what that feels like too. So, a long story short, grew up in a variety of foster homes, got in trouble with the law. I still, for whatever reason, always wanted to be something. I always wanted to win. I always wanted to do something with my life. And what I've realized more and more is as I approach success in my life, and of course that could be taken away in an instant. Nothing is guaranteed, no matter how successful you're doing. It could all be lost in a heartbeat. Shit hit the fan, could happen tomorrow. There goes my plans. I used to envy people in a position of privilege. And what I mean by that are people who are born into wealth. Because I would go over to my, friends' places as a kid, and I would see, they had the new Nintendo, and they had the food in their fridge, and they had a normal life. And I really wanted that as a kid. And my upbringing sucked. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm not trying to romanticize poverty. But what I will say is that it's that hunger. It's only when you're hungry that you're gonna want to strive after something. Right when you get full, and I'm starting to notice this with my physical fitness too, it's almost like I've reached this mode of maintenance. So I gotta switch it up. I gotta start doing more martial arts related stuff because I've lost that hunger, the personal bests. I'm not personal besting myself anymore. Once you stop personal besting yourself, it gets very hard to want to stay motivated. There has to be an end goal. For me, it's to try to be the best possible person I can be because I grew up having absolutely nothing. And what I'm starting to discover with a lot of these people who did make it, contrary to popular belief, a lot of successful people did not come from riches. There's a quote that I'm just going to paraphrase because I don't know the exact quote, but it's, rags to riches, riches to mediocrity, and mediocrity to rags. So over the course of 3 generations, people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth, who have everything, who don't appreciate it because they've always had it. It's like if you always had something, you never really appreciate it until it's taken away. And so there is something really important about deprivation. And this is why it's so important, I think, that we deprive our kids a little bit. We always want to, take care of our kids and coddle our kids through life. But I stopped buying my kids toys. I made that mistake where, you want to provide them everything you didn't have. But I realized, wait a minute, if I do that, then they're not going to have that same hunger when they get older. If you buy them that new toy, they're not going to want to go out and get that toy when they're older. So they're going to lose that motivation. Now, there is a problem with what they call new money, and that's with people who, come from nothing and get money. I've been watching a lot of old Mike Tyson fights lately just because, you go down the YouTube spiral, that's where it takes you. So anyways, Mike Tyson and a lot of athletes are a classic example of this. They come from abject poverty, they get a lot of money, they blow it all. He was once worth, I think, $300 million. I think today he's probably worth about $3 million. And the problem with new money is that because we were so deprived at a young age, that we want to go and splurge and get all that stuff that we never had, And for me, to this day, I'm still doing that. But now I've started to reach a point where I understand that, wait a minute, That's not what you want to do. You don't want to fall into the trap of comfort and materialism. You want deprivation in your life. So I believe it was Pablo Picasso who routinely would sell all his possessions and just start anew, because that's what motivates, that's what provides you with new material, with new visions. If there's no new input, there can't be new output. So for me, I embrace the struggle now. I want to go out into the woods to camp out for a couple nights to rough it, because that is what keeps us interested in things. If all you know is pleasure, it's not going to be pleasurable. All right, so a metaphor that I use with my clients is that you only have so much happiness in your life. Life is a zero-sum game. If you go up, you're going back down. You came out of the earth, you're going back into the earth. You have this happiness bank. And when people do a drug like cocaine or crystal meth, they borrow from that happiness bank. They experience 300 to 1200% spike in their dopamine levels. And that's a 300 to 1200% spike in happiness that you can never achieve in nature. So where does that go? That borrows from the future. So when you withdraw from that substance, what is there? There's depression, because what goes up must come down. Everything balances out. Everything in nature tries to level off. That's why collapse is coming, because we're way the hell up here. And the correction is coming, whether it's economic, ecological, etc. So if you acknowledge this, then you can realize that if your life is dark right now, if you're in the darkness, if you are going through hard times, what comes after the darkness? The light comes after the darkness. What is that saying? The night is darkest before the dawn? It's not technically true, but it's still very accurate in the sense that if you're going through hard times right now, if you're in the trough, the crest, the peak is coming. You need those moments, because people who are born into wealth, most of them can't live up to their parents' expectations. They don't understand what it means to be hungry. I'm not just saying that just because you were born into wealth that you cannot be a very successful and powerful person. Absolutely not. In fact, wealthy people are much more intelligent with their money. They've found ways to let their money work for them, which is something that a lot of people who don't come from wealth, who aren't cut from that cloth, and don't think in those terms, in exploitive terms, people like myself who just work their ass off 16 hours a day to get where they need to go without trying to exploit as many people as possible. That's why the prices on my website are as low as I can possibly put them, because it's not in my frame of mind to want to profit off of other people at their expense. I want to give people a fair and honest deal. Now, not everybody is like this. There are certain people who were born into maybe not wealth, but mediocrity. I have a friend who has traveled the world before the age of 30. He went on this adventure where, he took a year and he traveled to every single country. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't born out of poverty. I could be wrong about that. But, I'm pretty sure he grew up in a fairly middle-class lifestyle. So there are a lot of people who like to go and travel. And the reason why you go and travel is because of the minimalist aspect of it, the novelty of experience, the minimalism, the struggle. Because really travel is stressful. Your body is not meant to, go into these different climates. The body wants consistency. It wants predictability, really. But in the end, the only way you improve is through stress. Thought someone was running up on me there. Jesus, Marshall. So just remember not to envy people who seem to have it all. The rich man's pleasure is exactly the same as the poor man's. When you see a starving African child smiling because, the cameraman flipped him a candy or something like that, that smile, that sense of appreciation, the dopamine that's flooding their brain is no different than the billionaire who goes and buys a brand new Lamborghini and the luxury wears off by the time he puts it in the garage. Same thing. We're all just chasing that. So everything is relative in that regard. And it's very hard to say that just because a person was brought up in wealth, that they're not going to be able to go through hard times. It's more of a temperament thing. If you don't have the right temperament, you're not going to be able to endure hard times. All right, I want to leave you with one final thought here today. It's a quote that a friend of mine sent me. And it says, "The whole process of nature is an integrated process of immense complexity. And it is really impossible to tell whether anything that happens in it is either good or bad, because you never know what will be the consequences of a misfortune or what will be the consequences of good fortune." Meaning, to me, how I interpret that is what might be the positive consequences in the long run of misfortune, or what might be the negative consequences of good fortune. We've all heard the story of the people who win the lottery and it totally destroys their lives. You know, they don't know who their friends are anymore. Their family is envious of them. Everybody is jealous. You know, it breaks up their relationships. Everything that really means something, they lose. And then stories that I can attest to, where the shit in life just throws you into a place that really sucks, but that was a necessary step that you had to take to open another door. So all I'm saying, man, is that poverty sucks. It really does suck, but it's a mixed blessing, because if you can survive it, not only are you going to come out a survivor, you are going to come out a winner. So stay hungry, stay active, and if you find that your motivation is slipping, it's time to change it up. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this YouTube channel is to support yourself by gearing up through CanadianPreparedness.com or BugoutRoll.ca. Premium quality gear at the best possible price using the incredibly secure and easy to use Shopify platform. We offer free shipping to the United States for orders over $200 USD and free shipping to Canada over $75. So support the channel by supporting yourself.